All right, I'm gonna be a little blunt here, which isn't out of the norm
We're gonna
for
start off
me,
every conversation like this. I'm just gonna be a
but
little honest here.
I feel like that basically is what we do. That's at least what I do in my content every single time. People are tired of my
Hey, they
shit by
keep
now.
showing up, so apparently not.
But for most people, I feel like injuries become a permission slip. I hear on the daily people using an injury as an excuse to completely check out. They put everything else on pause and tell themselves, I can't do anything because I'm injured. But the reality is like, no, your shoulder's injured, so not your nutrition or sleep or steps or hydration or ability to eat protein or manage stress. Like we can still do all of those things. And so I want to address this today because I feel like a lot of people, especially lately, have been coming with
Yeah,
injuries and
there's a
saying this
lot
to
of
me.
levers, right, to be healthy and to have success and still progress and s- outside of the weight room. So we'll talk about that. This will be a good conversation.
Hmm. Before we do it, we haven't done a catch up section in so long. I've been deep in scholarship, which is why we've been like trying to make sure that we're doing shorter episodes and just like so I can balance all that, which has been awesome though. It's like we filled all the spots already. Actually, as of this week, all the scholarship spots got filled, which is amazing. I still have a few calls left, so I think I am gonna extend like a
Oh,
5 little bonus ones for all the calls that I have because I do want everyone to get a chance. But that's why I've been kind of at least
yeah,
I
and it's
feel
been
like
a
I've
lot
been
of fun. I
MIA.
mean, the clients the clients that have been signing up have been some awesome people. Like there's some amazing personalities, and it's you can tell we're gonna have a lot of fun with these journeys.
Yeah, I'm so stoked about that. And I know you and I were both talking also exciting news. We both got new laptops
Yes, trying to play
moving
around
up
with
in
them,
the
and then we were
world.
talking about how things just like pop up. Like I was recording something, and it was a little darker, and all of a sudden this like ring light popped up on my screen, and it was like I don't even remember it asked me, "Do you want this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I have like this automatic ring light, and I have no idea where it came from. Just popped up. Didn't know it was available. I'm sure there's like like I'm like at the very like base understanding of the technology that I can use. Like I get around fine, but that's about it. I'm sure there's like so many cool
Yeah,
things I could be using this for, and I have no idea.
I feel that. My old laptop, well, one, everyone gave me so much shit because my keyboard, like you couldn't even see the letters. It was just like so beaten down. I think I've had it for like 8 years, and like whatever. Again, I don't know much about laptops either, but like whatever software, like whatever like core chip or whatever, was like so old that it didn't update for like years. Like there it wasn't getting like the new software updates, and like I couldn't use like certain apps because it just like didn't work with that. And I have no idea how it was even functioning. I took it and they were like, "How are you even using this right now?"
It was a miracle.
So, safe to say this is life changing. Like, the fact that I can use it all day without having to charge it or just, like, everything is
So
amazing.
is
I'm
that
loving
pretty
it.
typical of you? Like, will you use something like until it's like dead and like you wore it out to its last ounce of usefulness?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm not I feel like it probably depends on what it is. I think with the laptop, I just didn't realize how bad it was. Like, I was just so used to using it, and so, like, as it got worse and slower and all this stuff like that, I was just like, "Oh, it's just normal," and I didn't realize, like it's kinda like with nutrition, it's like you don't realize how bad it is until you start eating
Yeah.
clean, and you're like, "Oh, wow, that was horrible." It was kinda like that. And then also, I don't know, I feel like it's just like it's a bigger investment, so I was like, "Oh, I just wanna put it off as long as possible." Like, I don't wanna have to, like, waste that much money. I don't know if I do that with other things. I guess nothing else in particular comes to mind. I guess with my phone, I feel like I've had it for a long time too. Maybe it's just more electronic stuff.
Technology. Well,
I don't know.
and then the expense part of things. I mean, those things are so expensive. I remember one time I dropped my phone and just happened to drop, face down, and so like cracked the screen. And I think I had that thing for like a year, and I just dealt with all the like cracks in the glass. And then, like you said, like I went and got a new one. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing when you don't have a cracked screen.
Yeah. Do you tend to
I
do
don't
that
know.
with
After I
other
asked
things
that
too
question, I
then?
was trying to think. I do. Yeah. I tend to wear them out for a long time. I mean, I have like I have clothes because I take really good care of myself. I have clothes that probably I've worn for decades, and like t-shirts I've had forever, type of thing. And it's like the t-shirt works well. I'm
Mm.
just gonna go with it.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I was thinking about that too. 'Cause I try not to buy a lot of clothes. Like, one is all just gym stuff, and I realized, like, I've had these clothes for like, years and like, a long time, so I'm like, I feel like I do when I have good staple stuff that I use a lot, then I definitely try to wear it out, but to be fair, I do also like nice things, so it's like, I do like being able to, like, upgrade the laptop, like, and once you realize it, you're like, "Okay, it's so worth it to be able to do that." So, I feel like it
Yeah,
depends
I
on
do think
what
it
it
depends on the
is.
cost. It's like, it's like you said, a laptop is
Mhm.
great. I'd love to have a new one, but it's pretty expensive just to replace one every couple of years type of thing.
For sure. And I speaking of new things, I know you
Yes.
just ordered a new
I
walking
I
pad.
officially wore mine down. Well, it's a combination. So we were having our team meeting the other day, and like the motor was like burning. Like you could smell it. It sounded like it was on. Smelled like it was on fire, but it was working and it was making some noises. And I was like, well, let me see if I can fix this. And because I'm definitely not a MacGyver type guy, but I was like, okay, well the pad's off a little bit, right? And so I was like, maybe if I scoot it over, maybe that's what was causing the noise. Maybe there's like some dog here and that. I don't know. I was going to try to like tweak a few things, right? And the instructions were like, turn this bolt to the right just a little bit, turn the other one to the right a little bit. And I started doing that, and the pad started going over too far. And I was like, oh, I must have gone too far. So I tried to go backwards, like the way I started, and it was going the opposite way. And I nothing I could do. And then the pad was like getting bent underneath it, and then it folded. And once it folded, like there's no way I could possibly unfold the pad. So it's like running, like half it's folded underneath the thing. It was a disaster. And then I was like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna cut this thing and maybe I can like duct tape this thing together. And yeah. But they had the thing so tight when I cut it, like I could not get it close together. So like, all right, ordering a brand new one. And I'm glad I did because I'm like down like 5,000 steps every day that I've not had one. So it's a must have. It's a must have for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like truly that's one of the things that every single person should probably have in their office or their home, like, especially in modern day, like, it's gonna be really tough to get your step count if you aren't being intentional with that, and if you don't have a walking pad,
Yeah.
like, I feel like it's just something
Well,
that everyone needs to
and there's
have.
so many things you can do walking on that pad that, normally just sit on the couch. Like, shout out to our client David. He's like, I'm watching soccer while I'm walking on the treadmill type of thing. And so it's like he's gonna be watching the games anyway. Might as well get some steps in. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about that in our meeting too. I was like, you and I are always walking on a walking pad on the meeting, and then our other teammate Nick, he's like, I always like taking calls as Zooms so that way I can go and walk on calls. So yeah, walking pad is the move. And like, we were looking at the prices too. It's like they're less than $100, so it's very reasonable. I feel like most people spend that much on like eating out or supplements. So definitely a good investment if anyone's thinking about what to get
Yes,
for their
great
health
investment
journey.
for sure.
Walking pad. I feel like all the good things, all the good fitness tools just tend to
Yeah,
catch on
right.
fire.
All right, I'm assuming you're going back to the old creamy.
I
You
miss it.
still
I
have I
miss the
thought
creamy.
you still haven't replaced it?
No, I didn't get a new one. I was kinda pissed off, but also because I can't have dairy, and so all of the Best Legion protein powders are well, like, don't get me wrong, the egg ones are really good, but I like all
Yeah.
the different flavors that they have of the whey. I'm like, "Since I can't have that," I'm like, "What's the
Well,
point,
I also
man?"
was gonna ask you if it was because of the dairy. So, if you could have dairy, do you think you would probably already replaced it? Yep, yeah.
Yeah. It's alright, though. I'm training myself to not rely on the creamy every
Well,
day.
I
It's
think that's what it
okay.
is. It's getting a lot of use out of it. And so going back to, replacing things, I don't mind as much replacing something if I'm using it all the time. And I'm like, "Oh, man, you know what? I definitely need a new one. I use it every day or quite often. I have no problem replacing that."
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of new things too, okay, well, kinda not a new thing. Speaking of not using things all the time, I should say, I got a paddleboard for Christmas, and I used it for the first time a couple weeks back when I was taking my staycation, and now I'm trying to make an effort of doing it at least, like, once every other week, but that's something newer that I'm trying to use more
Now,
consistently, and
have you
it's been
used
so
it in the
awesome.
ocean?
Not directly in the ocean, no. I used it at the springs and then kinda like the bay water, so, like, I guess it's technically the ocean, but it's, like, not, like, waves, it's not, like, it's just, like, in the bay instead, so,
Okay, I
yeah,
was
that's where
gonna
I've used it
ask you
so
because 'cause I've
far.
seen people out in the ocean using those things, but so I've used it in the lake, and that's obviously very still, and even that can be
Mhm.
challenging, especially if you're not paying attention. But I've tried to get on one in the ocean, and that is a struggle bus, man.
Oop, yeah. Yeah, some I feel like here you could probably do it, like, there's days where the water is so calm and there's, like, not really any waves, but yeah, if there's any sort of, like, waves or just even little ripples, it'll be really tough. But I will confess, I don't really stand like, I prefer not to stand. I find it easier just to, like, sit or, like, I'll, like, kneel or something, and then I can go out there, and even sometimes I'll just, like, be out, like, in the middle of the water, just, like, lay there just on like, getting some sun. So I don't know, standing up isn't as fun for me. Maybe that's I don't know,
Okay.
maybe I have the wrong
Well,
tool for
I
that,
mean,
but
yeah, use
I
it
enjoy
however you
it.
want, but it's definitely more challenging if you stand. But yeah, laying out in the middle of the ocean, that thing would be pretty awesome. Pretty scary too.
Mhm.
If you
No,
got
it's
on that
such a
thing,
vibe.
went out, just like kept going a little further and just laid there and you never know what's around you, man, that'd be a little scary.
It sounds tempting, actually. Why do I wanna go do that
See,
this
but see,
weekend?
I'm like the type of person, like, I love getting out in the ocean. I'll go like really far out and then I'll sit there and it's like that
Mhm.
huge, it's like that big contrasting, like I'm super excited, it's super cool, but also like I'm scared to death because like I have no idea what's going on around me. So there's this like it's a crazy hit, man. Like
Mm.
part of me is, oh, this is awesome, so peaceful. I love this. And the other part's like I could die in like 2 seconds. And who knows what's around.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like it's a better, like, on like, as a paddleboard or something. I feel like if you're just out, like, swimming, I could definitely feel that's a
It is.
little
It is a little
sketch.
scary.
But yeah, it's so peaceful out there, just, like, being out in the water, like, nothing else to I don't know, it's just so nice, and here too, there's always dolphins, so it's like every single time I'm out, or even when I'm walking, there's always dolphins. I saw one yesterday, actually, that was, like, playing with its food. It had, like, a chunk of fish, and it was playing with it and, like, kinda swimming
I'll
around
say
and giving us a
dolphins are
show. It
so
was
cool.
crazy.
I love watching dolphins. I love looking for them too. They're so much fun.
Yeah. One other thing that we wanted to mention too, I posted about this last week, but Crumble cookies, they came out with a new drink. I know we were talking about this on a meeting, but you haven't
No, I
looked
have
it up
not
or
looked
like
it
saw
up. I mean,
anything on it, right?
I roughly know the crumble cookie, and
Mhm.
it's the big sugar bomb,
What are your
right?
thoughts on the cookie? Let's start there. Yeah, I don't well, number 1, starting with crumble in general, I've never understood, like, the concept of the crumble. Like, it just makes no sense to me, their cookies, like, it's over
Yeah,
1,000 calories
it's
per cookie. When you can just make a normal cookie for, like, a couple hundred
yeah,
calories, that's
really good.
just as good.
I know. I almost feel like they try to they set a ball. They're like, all right, what's the typical sugar amount, and let's blow it out of the water, and we'll see what we can do, and just people will eat it. People will talk about not wanting to eat certain foods at breakfast or whatever because of calories or things like that, but then they'll go to, like, Starbucks, I'm drinking it, so it's not as bad as if I'm, like,
Mhm,
eating. So I could see someone saying, "Oh, well, I'll pass on the crumble cookie, but I'll have the drink."
mhm. Yeah, and even that conversation makes me think too, I feel like because we're in the space and we generally think about health and the macros and what goes into it, I'm sure a lot of people that are eating it have no concept of that too, which it feels more dangerous to me because they have no idea that they're eating, 2,000 calories in a sitting, like, of just eating, like, cookies, where, like, that's so absurd compared to any sort of normal cookie, and then people wonder why, like, they can't lose weight or why their weight keeps creeping up, it's like,
Yeah,
that's
you're right,
why.
there is that the lack of knowledge. I mean, and I think if you probably ask somebody, "Hey, is this great for you?" Is it they'll probably say, "No, it's not good," but I think in their mind, they're gonna justify it some and think it's not that bad, but
But yeah, so the reason I brought that up though is there's a new dirty soda that they have, which like I don't even it's just like a soda with more sugar and shit in it, I guess. I don't know. I didn't look into it too much on like what they're throwing in there. I'm like, I don't even want to know, to be fair. But the insane part was there's 186 grams of sugar in like one of the I forget, I don't honestly don't know the size of it. I think it was like a 32-ounce version of it or something, but 186 grams of sugar in
wow.
one drink.
That I mean,
Diabetes
I don't even know how
central.
to respond to that, to be honest with you, and that's so much sugar in one sitting. I mean, not even talking about, like, for the day or for the week. I mean, we're talking about, like, one sitting, and just think about it, let's just say the rest of your day was completely dialed in. That's still a ridiculous amount, and we know that most people are not dialed in, so, yeah, that's scary.
Mhm. Yeah, I basically had that same reaction when I saw that. I was literally like, I I j no words. I don't know what
It's
like,
almost
why?
like,
How?
you have those 2 extremes, like, if it's like not nearly as bad or just ridiculously bad, you don't know how to respond. Like if it's in the middle, it feels like 50, you're like, wow, my gosh, that's a lot. It's like so much like I don't know what to say. I don't know how to respond to this.
I just don't know why they do that. There's no I feel like at that point, it all tastes the same. Like, I feel like past even, like, 50 grams of sugar, like, it's all gonna taste the same. Like, why are they putting that much in it? It seems like it feels like they need to go straight to jail,
Well,
to
and
be
I
honest.
get like, I mean, I will try to modify foods that are typically higher in sugar, and most of the time they don't taste as good. Right? It is. So it's kind of like, like if you want a cookie, just have a real cookie because your modified version is not going to taste that great and you're still going to be craving the other cookie, blah, blah. But like you said, like they just went above and beyond and just it's like they're dumping sugar in it. And you can have a delicious, really good cookie without 186, or this is a drink, right? Or you can have a great tasting drink with very sweet, not that's not even coming close to 186 grams of sugar. So, wow.
Yeah, that's just dangerous. Like, I don't know, just all the downstream effect
Here's
like, that's
a
just
positive
crazy,
though.
but
Let's think about
so, yeah,
positive.
beware
If
people.
you're out there and you've been drinking these, just cutting those out, do nothing else, you're probably going to see some progress the next couple weeks.
That's a good point, actually. That's a very good point.
All I did was cut out the crumble drink, and man,
Because
I've
people
lost like
see that.
5 pounds. Craziest
Amazing.
thing.
Yeah, because people will cut out regular soda, which is what, like 100 calories a day or whatever that is, or if they're having a few a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine that.
Well, what do you what is it? How many grams of sugar in a regular Coke? 50?
I don't know. It's a good question. I can ask Chat.
Curious.
12-ounce can
Oh, yeah.
has
All right, so
9
just
grams of sugar.
round it up. I mean, think about that. I mean, you're almost drinking like 5 Cokes type of thing. That's how much sugar is in that
Yeah.
crumble cookie drink. And speaking of Coke, sometimes, a lot of people, if you have a Coke or a couple Cokes full, full sugar Cokes a day, and you simply just swap that out for a diet one, and I know it does taste a little different, but after a while, you start getting used to it, and it doesn't taste that much different, and that's gonna be a huge win for you if you did nothing else, just that alone.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to our conversation about injuries. And an injury is a legitimate limitation, right? It's not imaginary. Someone really gets hurt, pain is real, recovery is real. There's absolutely things that you should not do when you're injured, right? But I feel like a lot of times there's going to be a difference between limitations and excuses. Right? And as a coach, we never expect someone with a serious shoulder injury to go out there and train shoulders as hard as possible, right? I mean, we don't want them hurting themselves. We don't want to make things worse, right? But what we do expect is to kind of pivot a little bit, right? So because like you mentioned earlier, fitness is not a one, single behavior. It's kind of like a bunch of behaviors, like portfolio behaviors, right? So you can't press overhead. Okay, we can walk, right? And if we can't run, can we work on our nutrition? Or if the training volume has to come down, can recovery quality go up? And this is where there's a lot of psychology that's involved. And so people a lot of times will attach that and their entire identity to one habit. So think about if you're like, oh, I'm a runner, and you hurt your leg or something, you can't run anymore, that one thing's taken away, then they kind of feel like they've lost themselves, right? And then they almost like, I'm not sure what to do next, even though there's still a lot of things they could be doing. So the goal is never to become someone who exercises only when life is convenient or when the circumstances, environment is perfect. The goal is to become someone who can keep taking care of themselves under changing circumstances, right? That's one big quality. We got to be able to adapt. We got to be able to be flexible, and because life basically is a series of changing circumstances. I mean, I'm always having
Yep.
this conversation with clients like, "Oh, after your work trip, after your vacation, after the big birthday party," whatever it may be, but there's just always after this something else comes up. So there will be injuries, right? And there are going to be stressful times in your life. There's going to be travel. There's going to be kids, work demands. There's going to be setbacks. And The people that really succeed long term aren't the people who avoid this disruption because you can't. They're the people who learn how to adjust without completely abandoning themselves or the program. There, speaking of program, there is a it's an older movie. I think it came out like in the 90s, probably like yeah, it did for sure during my high school years. I'm dating myself now, right? But anyway, awesome. Loved it. If you love college football, super awesome movie. And it's about a college football program, and they have a super stud freshman that comes in, and they're in practice, and he just it gets absolutely drilled, and he's on the ground, and they're keep going with the practice, and the coach comes over, and the kids just land on the ground, and it goes up to him, and he goes, "Hey, dude," he goes, "Are you hurt or are you injured?" And the guy's like on the ground, he's like, "What do you mean? What's the difference?" He's like, "Yeah, because if you're injured, we gotta get you off the field. If you're hurt, I need you to hop up and keep playing." And he's like, "I'm hurt, man. I'm good." The type of thing. And so that's the kind of like mindset, like, yes, if you're if you're hurting, like if there's just some pain, there's a lot of things we can still do in your health journey to help you keep moving forward.
Mhm. Yeah, and the reality, like, if you want the result that you say you want, whether that's fat loss or whatever goal you're aiming towards, an injury should not stop you. It might change the path and how we train, but it should not stop the pursuit entirely. And because, like I said, especially with fat loss, an injury sure as hell, like, should not stop that. If your goal is better health, same thing. If your goal is building better habits, like, there's no reason why an injury should stop that. You just have to adapt a little bit, and adaptation is part of the process. Like you said, life is always gonna throw stuff at you, and truthfully, training is basically like 5% in the grand scheme of things as far as getting results, especially in these areas. And especially if it's just like a shoulder or a knee or whatever it is like you can still train everything else too and do all the other 95% of
I
things
was
that are
just
gonna
saying,
move the
could you
needle.
imagine if someone's like drinking that crumble cookie drink and you're like, "Man, like, do you know how much sugar's in that drink?" They're like, "Yeah, but I got some back pain. So, I mean, I'm just gonna do whatever right now. There's nothing I can do about my life."
Yeah, that's basically how it is, or it's like if you get a nail in your tire and then you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go slash the other 3 because I got a nail in it." It's like,
Yeah.
why? What
Yeah,
even are you
there's
doing?"
some self-sabotage in there for sure. Okay, so let's talk about what to
Mhm,
do when you actually do get injured, right? And a lot of times, and this is a human nature type of thing, but a lot of times we dramatically, I should say, overestimate the role of training and underestimate the role of everything else, right? So training definitely matters; it's very important. But in the grand scheme of long-term health and body composition, training is just a part of the puzzle, right? And so we're talking about fat loss, metabolic health, longevity, like the big rocks are behaviors that we repeat every single day and a lot of times are not affected by an injury or some pain. So, sleep, nutrition, daily movement, stress management, recovery, just being consistent in all those. An injury may take you away from your workouts or maybe take away from some of the exercises you can perform well, but it doesn't have to take away your habits, right? And I think it's a critical distinction there. If your identity is built entirely around exercise and that's it, and then an injury, yeah, it's going to feel like the end of my progress, right? But if your identity is built around being a healthy person, someone who shows up in all those areas that I just mentioned, then there are a lot of ways to continue acting in alignment with that identity. So you may not be able to train hard, but we can still eat well. You can still hit your protein targets. You can get your steps in. You can still prioritize sleep. You can still manage stress and support recovery. So injuries often will review whether someone was pursuing health or they're just really pursuing a certain workout. And health is adaptable, right? Health has a lot of options. And the people who are achieving lasting results, they understand that the progress isn't about just doing an ideal program. It's about continuing to move forward with the tools that are available. And sometimes those tools are available depending on the day and depending on what's happening in your life. That path may change, but the pursuit doesn't have to.
mhm. Yeah, and I think one of the things you mentioned in there and even previously is, like, the mental component is really tough when you get injured, and I feel like that's what throws a lot of people off, especially when you're building momentum and you feel like you're making progress, then you get an injury and you're like, "Oh, man," like like, it feels like everything is halted even when it's not, and, like, it's more of, like, the mental challenge of overcoming that
Yeah,
than
and
it
we
is
we talked
physical
about in
almost.
a previous episode about going all in, and there, a lot of people will get hurt, and they're like they get very frustrated. And you're right, it's a mental thing. I mean, I've been hurt, I've hurt myself, and it stinks to go into the gym and not be able to do something, or not be able to do something well, or lift a lot of weight. And so I think a lot of people say, well, if I can't do this all out, whether it's an ego thing or it's just I just don't feel good not doing it, then I'm out, and they just don't do anything.
Yeah, so step 1 of what to do when you get injuries is to keep moving. Because like we said, most injuries don't require complete inactivity. Obviously, it depends on what the situation is. And if you are being completely inactive, that's probably one of the worst things you can do for recovery because movement is going to improve circulation and help with your recovery process, help maintain muscle, help maintain your routine. And that doesn't mean going in and doing something stupid or hurting yourself more, but it's just if your knee hurts, obviously don't go and run, don't go and train legs. If your shoulder hurts, don't go and do pressing. But it's like you can do a lot more and you can still keep your body moving, especially if it's upper body movement. It's like go get your steps and get your body moving. And that's gonna
Well, and
help
I
a
saw a
ton with
study
you
one time,
healing.
and it was they had taken people who had like broken like an arm or a leg or something, and they compared people that still lifted with the other side compared to someone who just took the entire time off. And the person that still lifted, let's say they broke their arm, their left arm, they still lifted with their right arm. The amount of muscle mass that they lost on their left arm actually was less than the person who just didn't lift at all. So our body is still reacting and responding, even if you're not able to move that one area of your body.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that one before too. That's so powerful. It just goes to show how impactful it is, and like
Yeah.
everything is so
So the next
connected.
step, I think movement is a powerful thing. I think we can always do something, right? Even if you're like in a lot of pain, just walking around. We're going to shout out Josh again. This guy's had a lot of pain going on, and he's still every day trying to do something. Even if it's not super high intense or he's not getting quite the goal he wants every single day, he's still trying to get out there. And he's still moving around a lot, and I think that's really helped. But the step number two would be train around it. Every now and then I'll hurt my back, and there's certain things that I can't do, but I'll go in there and one, I'll try to kind of test it out a little bit. Super lightweight. I'll try to say, okay, you know what? That kind of bothers it. I'll stay off. But a lot of the exercise I'm still able to do, either with no pain or with just manageable pain, and I can still do it. So yes, there are some things that I can't do, but there's so many other things that I can, and so I still go every day and still get in something, right? And I think this is also where coaching can become very, very valuable, right? Because there is a lot of times people get hurt and they're like, I don't know what to do now, right? Uh, I think I should have stopped because it is, I get it, the lack of knowledge. What should I do? I don't know. It's easier to say I'm just not gonna do anything, right? So if your shoulder is injured, like we can shift that focus to lower body training, or we have other exercises that may not be as good in general as the exercise we want you to do. But if you're injured, it's still better than nothing, right? Or maybe your knee is limiting to you. So we may emphasize upper body work or core strength or conditioning that's not going to aggravate that. And your back, like I talked about that. So we can identify movements that respect the injury, right? So I think the question shouldn't be like, what can I do? It should kind of be like, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do safely? What can I do effectively? What can I still go to the gym and still do it and still feel like I'm getting a good workout in? So in most cases, there's still a lot of productive work to be done. And then also from a like behavioral standpoint, right? Just maintaining some of the routine during an injury is critical, right? So consistency is going to preserve that identity. And when people keep showing up, right, even if it's modified, they still remain connected to the habits and behaviors that support the long-term success. So, I mean, we've seen a lot of people make some of their greatest strides during times of injury, right? It's because a lot of times the injuries will expose blind spots. That person who skipped mobility is now maybe like prioritizing that, you know. I'm pointing at myself as well. Maybe someone that was like just totally into the lifting was ignoring recovery, and now they're like, all right, you know what, maybe I should be getting some really good quality sleep. So a lot of times those setbacks don't just reveal the weaknesses, they create the opportunities to address them. And that injury could absolutely change the program. And it definitely does not have to stop the progress.
Yeah, something really important there is it's like you said, it's creating the opportunity to address them because usually when you're getting injured, it's some sort of weakness, some sort of imbalance. Typically, it's a weakness somewhere in your body. And so that's just a good sign. It's like, hey, we need to address this and we need to work on this. And then we can, work to rehab it or strengthen the surrounding areas to make sure that you, one, prevent any future issues, prevent any future injuries, and then no longer have to live in chronic pains. Like we have so many clients that come to us like every joint in their body hurting, not like that's not necessarily like a set injury, but it's kind of like a chronic injury in some sense. And we eliminate that by moving it and strengthen it and doing the right things. And so I think that's where it is so important is depending on again, it depends on the nature of the injury and what it is. If it's more minor and just kind of like a pain that keeps coming up or flaring up with certain things, like that's where we need to have the right plan to be able to address that and eliminate it or if it is like a more like a bigger injury, obviously there's certain things that cause that. So it's learning and then being able to adapt around it, like you said, to prevent
Yeah,
future
and,
issues
kind
from
of a side
happening.
note, I mean, you should not be in pain while you're working out. And so I think there's some people that will perform an exercise and they're like, yeah, it's not that much pain where I have to stop. But every time I do a squat or every time I do that, my knees hurt or something like that. And I just kind of just do it, just kind of suck it up type of thing. And like you said, like usually it has nothing to do with the knees. Maybe it has something to do with the ankles or the hips or something. And as a coach, we can look at, watch your form. We can identify some things that are going on and maybe fix that so that you don't have to go you don't have to be in pain while you're lifting. You should not be in pain while you're lifting any kind of these exercises.
Very good point. Yeah. I think so many people it's just that they accepted it abnormal. That it's just, oh, I just have these aches and pains. It is what it is. No, like that is what causes the injuries usually is that compounding over time. So that is your body screaming at you. And that means that we just need to adjust the plan to be able to rehab those issues to
Right.
make
And
sure that
once we
you are
do
being able to move
identify that,
pain free.
eventually down the road, we have to strengthen that area. Right. And lifting weights is going to get you there. I think some people they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to lift any weights because I might hurt myself. And well, that's why you're in pain because you have not strengthened that area.
Right. Vicious cycle. But I get it. I was gonna say, like, I get it can be scary though, like when you are in pain and you're not used to being able to do all the things that you want to do, like it's scary to go and lift. I know we've had so many clients that came to us like so hesitant to lift and push themselves because they don't want to set themselves back further. But like you said, like that's where having a coach and having the right plan is so, so important because again, you should not be in pain. You should be able to rehab all these issues and get to a place where you feel comfortable, confident. I think about our client Jared is like such
Yeah,
a
yeah,
perfect
yeah.
example of this
Jared came and
too.
he was just a little hesitant about a lot of things just because of some past, injury issues and things like that. And like you said, it would totally get it. I mean, it makes sense. You're fearful because you don't want to hurt yourself so much where you can't do the things that you've always loved to do. And he's worked so hard, and it's amazing some of the progress that he's made. And he gets out there and does some of the most athletic stuff, and with confidence as well.
Mhm. Yeah. And so, again, this is where having proper programming, have proper guidance is so important because I guarantee, like, we've done this with almost all of our clients at some point where we can take any injury or any issues that come up and we will build a full program that does not bother it at all. Like, I've had so many clients go through big surgeries or just unexpected injuries or things that come up and they start freaking out. I'm like, no, we're good. It's like we can focus on mobility, we can focus on core, we can focus on, if it's an upper body injury, we'll focus on lower body and vice versa. So like we can build a full program that still gets you all the progress that you want without bothering the issue and allowing it to rehab and fully heal. And so it does not like I just really want to drive that point home that it does not need to stop your
Yes,
progress whatsoever.
it's
You
always
just need
something
to
we
have the
can
right
do.
plan.
Always something we do. Okay, so next step is this is to prioritize recovery, right? And so I feel like a lot of people kind of have this backwards, right? Like when they're injured, recovery isn't less important; it's way more important, actually, right? So this is where the fundamentals carry even greater weight. So like protein matters more. Your body needs those raw materials to repair, rebuild tissue, and sleep is so important. This is where your body is like recovering and just putting yourself back together process. It's not just you're not just sleeping, right? That's literally when your body is putting everything back together and almost like creating your ideal self the next day type of thing, right? And hydration matters and stress management matters more because that chronic stress that can impair recovery and increase the pain sensitivity. And so the recovery matters more because your body's now trying to do two jobs at once, function day to day and heal. And yet I feel like this is often when people abandon that because uh, I don't know, they sleep less, they eat worse, they move less, they They let kind of stress accumulate, and from a physiological, from a behavioral standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. I understand it though. I understand why people get kind of that. And like I think it's that mental thing. It's really difficult, especially if you're
Mhm.
seeing progress. It's like I failed on this or I can't do this. And so you start beating yourself up and all these other things start kind of you start getting letting loose on those, right? So those habits that you maintain during the difficult seasons, like they're more predictive of the long-term success than the habits that you maintain when everything is going well. So anyone can be disciplined when life is easy, right? That real test is whether your standards are going to survive adversity. And injury is not the reason to neglect recovery. It's the exact reason we should prioritize it.
Yeah, and on this point too, like I said, usually we can still build a full program or like a movement plan with an injury. And even if you aren't able to, like I said, these are all these recovery things and focusing on nutrition and recovery and stress and sleep. That is what moves the needle 95% of the way for the progress that 95% of people are looking for. So I always tell people, it's like, good, cool. Like if you can't work out, you can't do this certain exercise, great. That means we get to put more intention into food. Isn't that awesome? Like that's what's going to get you the results you want anyway. Or it's like, oh, you haven't been able to focus on sleep. Great. That's what we're going to focus on in this period, or reducing stress, regulating our nervous system. So it's like, go all in on these things and you will see just as much progress dialing in. And it gives you more time and intention and energy to be able to pour into these things that maybe were
Yeah, going
neglected a
back to
little
what we were
bit
talking about earlier, I
previously.
really think it's that mind shift, the reframing of instead of like, "Oh, what can I not do now?" And now it's, "Okay, that hurt or I'm in pain there, I injured this. What can I do to make sure that I'm still moving forward?"
And like we were saying earlier, it's like we don't want to let this injury become your identity. I get it's so tough mentally going through that. And we see it all the time too with people where it's just become who they are. It's like, yeah, I have a bad knee, I can't do these things, or I have a bad shoulder, a bad back. And every decision that they make gets filtered through that identity. And we just need to be careful with that because now you're the injured person instead of a healthy person who happens to be recovering from an
Yeah.
injury. There's a
And
big
and
difference
and I
there.
mean, wanna be compassionate with these people, but I hear that a lot, like, "Oh, I can't do this because I have a bad knee." And you try to help them out and talk through, "Yeah, but I have a bad knee." It's almost like they're doubling down. There's just I'm stuck. I can't do anything about it. That's just my life type of thing.
Yeah. And I figured we could like I know I've worked with a few clients over the I mean a lot of clients over the years where we had to navigate injuries. A couple come to mind for me, like even client Sean, like we've had him on the podcast. I'm sure everyone knows of him by now. But it's like he's gone through a couple different surgeries, even with his shoulder, where we were still in the gym doing lower bodies. Like as soon as he was able to move, he was doing walking, we were doing hiking, we were doing machines. Where it's like you don't even have to engage like because oftentimes like you get to like re-rack weights and stuff, so obviously you need to adjust for that if you can't use your upper body. So we were just doing machines where it's like plate loaded, where you just put in the pin, do things like that, or body weight stuff, body weight squats, things like that. So it's like that's kind of what we did in that rehab phase. And like I said, I told him like this is where we're focusing on nutrition, like we're really dialing that in, maybe focusing on gut health. We worked on sleep is a big one too, getting to a place where his sleep is better than it ever has been. So it's like we just focused on all those things that we've basically been talking about, and he had continued like, that was kind of when we were deep in his weight loss journey, I believe, and so he was still, like, steadily dropping weight, the chart did not move, like, it was just on the steady trend down, like, nothing changed. It was more of just that mental battle and getting him to be okay with focusing on these other areas because he's someone who's very driven, has very high standards for himself, wants to be able to, do the best, and so for him and a lot of other people, it's me reframing and be like, "Hey, I know you have this very specific vision on what growth looks like. It looks like, crushing these workouts, hitting PRs, and that's what makes you feel accomplished. But growth looks different in this season and is not like less than what you're doing previously, is not worse. It's just different. Like this is what growth looks like. It's going all in on the nutrition and the recovery and these other things that maybe we neglected a little bit, didn't put much time into. Mobility is one for him where like he now loves it. It's like his favorite day of the week, which I love. But he's like, most people, they come in and they're like, "No, mobility's boring, I don't wanna do it," but now he's grown to love it because of these processes that we've gone through and the benefits that he's seen from it, so it's just reframing, it's like, "This is what growth looks like. This is what going all in looks like." It's focusing on these things and just being invested in that as opposed to needing to hit certain numbers or focusing on what you can't do, like you were saying earlier.
But like I said, there's always something you can do, and I know the workout seems to be like the sexy part of everything, right? Like that's where we can visually see ourselves and feel ourselves, and it's very important, but it's all that stuff behind the scenes that we don't emphasize as much. That like we said, the sleep, the stress management, the nutrition, all that stuff is so important.
Yeah, I did the same thing with our client Deb. Like he had a knee injury, like it's some unexpected thing when he was on a hike and like kind of twisted the wrong way and so had to get it repaired. And so he wasn't able to do lower body stuff. So that was fine. Like we just focused on upper body things that again like didn't require him to even like have to like bend or straighten his knee. We focused on the nutrition on the phases where like he couldn't really do any sort of activity because there's always that phase like right after a big surgery or something where you can't really do much. It's like cool, we're going to focus on the sleep and the nutrition and all these things. Still made progress, and then once he was able to get moving, we were able to incorporate stuff like that, so that's generally how we approach things. It's all the stuff that we've been talking about here in this episode. Do you have any specific client examples or things that stand out to you or, like, protocols that you took clients
Yeah,
through
well,
as they
I
were
mean,
rehabbing stuff?
a lot of times we don't have to change a lot of things. Like you mentioned, okay, well, we can't do lower body. So we did a bunch of upper body. Sometimes it's just taking an exercise and modifying a grip or modifying just that exercise just a little bit. So we change it just enough to where it doesn't affect that injury or it doesn't cause them pain. And that's very individualized, right? It's very difficult to say, oh, well, if this is hurting, just do this, because everyone's very different. And so you have to almost kind of experiment a little bit and have that knowledge and have in the back of your mind a lot of different options. And sometimes just like, hey, let's try this, see what happens. How do you feel with this? If you like this, if there's no pain, let's go with this. And you're like, oh, well, it's not, as good as the original exercise we had in there. They're still going to see a lot of benefit. The majority of us are not trying to get on stage for a bodybuilding show or trying to go to the Olympics or do powerlifting or anything like that. We're just trying to improve our bodies, improve our minds. And so tweaks like that, changes, it doesn't have to be perfect exercise. It just has to we just have to figure out what works so well for them.
Mhm. Yeah. And so, real quick, we can breeze through this on like, because I feel like we've covered a lot of it, is how to actually approach if you got injured. Like, if you got injured tomorrow, what should we actually do? Because again, most people stop completely or they pretend like nothing is wrong and make it worse and continue to push through. And we don't want to do either of those. So, I think one is figure out what's actually injured. Like, don't just go on Chat GPT, like, go to the doctor, get scans, whatever it is. Like, is it actually injured? Is it a strain? Is it a tear? Is it just a flare up or a chronic issue? Like, what is it? Like, have you seen a doctor? Have you seen a physical therapist? Like, someone qualified, make sure you assess it, like, get the clarity on what it actually is because that the plan is gonna depend
Right.
on what you're
Stop
actually
focusing
dealing with.
on what you can't do and let's start focusing on what you can. Right. And your shoulder, suddenly you act like your whole entire body can't function. Right. Maybe pressing is off the table right now. All right. So what can we do? Well, maybe we do lower body. We just talked about that. Can we walk? Can we work core stability? Can we do conditioning that doesn't aggravate the symptoms? Can we perform rehab exercises, mobility? We naturally focus on the losses instead of the opportunities. And progress is a lot of times determined by where we place our attention. So the better question is like, what can I do safely? What can I do consistently right now? And that brings us to a really important principle, like train around the injury, not through it, right? It's not a weakness. It's just intelligent training. There's gonna be a difference between productive discomfort and actually like aggravating an injury. We never want to push it too far where we just hurt ourselves worse, right? So if a movement consistently increases the pain, causes swelling, or just you leaves you significantly worse in any way afterwards, right? That's our body telling us, like, look, you need to stop. This is getting too far. So we're not trying to prove how tough we are, right? We just want to recover. We want to preserve as much strength, fitness, function as possible. So we want to find those movements. And that's where we're talking about coaching is so valuable because we can help you to do that, right? We want to find movements that that you can perform pain free or within tolerable limits. Sometimes you have a little bit of pain and you will work through that. And of course, if it's a serious injury, you want to get that kind of checked off by your healthcare team, make sure they're good with that. One of the most powerful predictors of long-term success is, like we've talked about, is the consistency, not being perfect, but continuing to take steps forward. So, and we see this all the time. The clients that do the best over the long term, they're the ones, it's not that they never get injured, it's just that they know how to adapt. The healing, the training, they're not opposing goals. They just, if it's done correctly, it can still happen at the same time. We can still heal our injury and still get some good training in.
Mhm. Yeah, and then the next step is treat rehab like your training. Like we were saying, put all your intention into recovery, nutrition, all these things. Also put all your intention into the rehab. People will spend an hour lifting, but then won't spend 10 minutes doing the rehab exercises and wonder why they aren't improving or like the injury keeps coming up and flaring up. Schedule it, track it, be consistent with your rehab. Like pour all your intention into that and making sure that you're rebuilding properly. Because that boring stuff, that and the mobility, like that's what gets you healthy again. And then, like we were saying, double down on the recovery. This is where protein matters, sleep matters, hydration, all the normal basic things that tend to get like pushed off a little bit or is just harder to bounce. Like pour all into that. If your body is going to heal, you need to give it to resources to actually heal. And most people don't do that. They get injured and stop moving and eat worse and sleep worse. And it's just a vicious cycle there. So prioritize the recovery. And then also, bonus one is don't overdo it when you come back. I feel like this is very important because like, even if you follow all these things, a lot of people end up coming back stronger because they're finally addressing the stuff they were neglecting before the injury. But then they'll come back and be like, "Oh, I feel great. Like, I want to go, right back into it. I want to get my momentum back. I can't wait to get back into training." And then they overdo it. So I talk about this with Sean a lot too, because like he always even out coming out of a deload, he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to hit it hard," and then he's like, "Oh, I'm too sore." I'm like, "No, bro, like we gotta ease into it." And especially after an injury, it's like ease back into it. Even if you feel really good, like err on the side of going way lighter, way easier. Let your body readapt, and,
Yeah.
and then
So
you can build up from
the
there.
biggest takeaway from this entire conversation is that injury itself is rarely what's going to determine the outcome, right? So it really comes down to your response to the injury, right? So over the years, we've seen people lose a lot of weight, even while injured, right? We've seen people build a lot of really good nutritional habits while still unable to train. We've seen people recover faster because they still remain engaged in the process instead of just disconnecting from it. We've seen people lose 6 months, not because of the injury itself, but they just convinced themselves that they couldn't do anything, right? And so, from a behavioral standpoint, the setbacks don't just challenge our bodies, they challenge our identity. And so when people begin to think, oh, I can't train, so you know what, I'm just going to stop training. That's not an injury problem. That's like an all or nothing thinking problem. That all or nothing thinking is one of the fastest ways to derail the long term sustainable progress. And the people who succeed in health and fitness, again, aren't the people who avoid adversity. They're the people who adapt, right? They're flexible because life is always going to throw obstacles at us: injuries, stress, travel, busy season, unexpected setbacks, right? We're not looking for a perfect plan. We're wanting to develop the kind of person that keeps moving forward even when the plan changes. And yes, injury may alter that path, but it doesn't have to end the pursuit. So in the end, the resilience isn't measured by how you perform when everything goes right. It's going to be measured by what you do when things don't. And the more often than not, the injury is not the deciding factor. It's your mindset.
Facts. Big facts. So, yeah, if you're someone who's currently injured or recovering from surgery or dealing with just the aches and pains or feeling you're in a season where things aren't perfect and things are crazy, I hope that this episode gives you a little more clarity and permission to stop putting your goals on hold for that. Because there's always something you can do. There's always a next step. And if you want a simple place to start, we put together our 5 steps to drop your next 5 pounds down guide. And so, regardless of whether you're training at 100% or recovering from something, traveling, or busy with work, the fundamentals still matter. And this is what it goes over. We want to walk you through the exact things to focus on and the exact things that we do with clients to continue making progress without needing to overhaul your life. So, we'll drop that link in the show notes and share this with someone. Share this with someone who's dealing with an injury or putting things on pause or discouraged when they're not seeing the momentum or having a setback like that. Share this with them. It helps us a ton as well. And we will catch you guys in the next one.